While the channel has spent a great deal of time talking about the USS Fitzgerald, there was another accident that happened last summer in Asia that cost the lives of our servicemen. These are the sailors who were lost aboard the USS John S. McCain. Now, the two events, while involving literally identically the same ship, style of ship, are very, very different. The circumstances are very, very different, but the channel believes that while the Navy might be able to find deficiencies aboard both vessels, that perhaps they could have done things better, that there were other forces at play. There were other things going on that are not being acknowledged that I believe does a disservice to the sailors. And that's why we're here, and that's why we're talking about this. It's about these 17 lost servicemen who are being held up as victims of incompetence. Incompetence by the Navy, by their shipmates, and that's not going to stand. If there's even a little bit of evidence out there that there was something else at play, that there was some other force out there attempting to compromise these ships that they did not know about or were unaware of, and the Navy brass is aware of, that they're not letting us know about, then we need to investigate this and we need to stay on it. Just like with the Donald Cook, just like with the Liberty, we've seen a lot of very, very suspicious activity around this and a lot of silence from those who would be in a position to let us know the truth. Now, one of the big issues with the McCain actually lets us see something about the Fitzgerald that illustrates how crazy the story is about the Fitzgerald. You see, this here I brought up is the AIS track of the McCain and its collision with the tanker ALNIC MC. Now, the first thing you have to notice about this is that we have a whole bunch of tanker ships. This is like a super highway for tankers that are heading south and west, and allegedly what's happening is the McCain is coming in from up here and joining, basically merging into this traffic. What the Navy is saying has happened is this, that there was a cross current, a 2.7 knot cross current, and apparently it was causing some kind of a steering issue. And so they ordered that the screws that drive the ship be placed in what they call split plant. They operated independently of each other. And that caused a problem with the helmsman. They split the throttles from the steering control. When they did that, they had the rudder set to a certain angle to compensate for the current. But when they switched, it reset the rudder and moved it to the middle, which automatically then caused that current to move the bow of the ship off to port by a certain amount of degrees, not realizing that the two screws were operating independently. When they increased speed of one screw, which would have been the starboard screw, they caused the turn to be exacerbated, and nobody knew what was going on until it was too late. So that's the story from them. Now, based on what I've seen here and of the actions I've seen of the ALNIC MC, the cargo vessel, and it was a tanker, I don't see anything suspicious at all from that cargo tanker. And I'm going to play this forward. Like I said, there's a lot of ships there. Pardon the, there we go. ALNIC MC is right. Let's see if I can get it here. There we go. It's right there. Now you can pull this up for yourself and you can watch this for yourself. I always encourage this on my channel, people to do this. Go look for yourself. Find the truth for yourself. That's why I include the links. So playing forward here, we of course do have the, now there, you see that turn? That's where allegedly the McCain came down and the ALNIC MC collided with it, attempted to make a port turn to get out of its way, and that's where it happened. Now, what we see post-collision from that vessel is exactly what you would expect. It loiters, it stops, moves very slowly. The communication was literally instantaneous with the shore, with the Navy about this. See, it's only moving at 1 knot. It's leaving the shipping lane and getting out of traffic. No giant, huge circling around. None of that. They communicated with the vessel. Once they realized that everything was under control, they went back about their way. Now, we're going to start again here and show you something that illustrates the ludicrous story of the Fitzgerald. Okay, it starts up here. Here's its track. Now, as you look at the timestamp going forward, what do you see? The last digit always remains a 0. It's reporting every 10 seconds, just like you would expect a Class A transponder to do. How do we know this? Because here are the transponder rates. This is Arendelle.com, AIS reporting intervals. And as you can see, a dynamic Class A transponder, which is what is required by SOLAS to be aboard all of these kind of vessels, at 0 to 14 knots, reports in the 10-second interval. I can show you dozens and dozens and dozens of videos on YouTube from Vessel Finder where there are collisions, and every time they're all reporting in the 10-second. Now, here's the Fitzgerald. Okay, here's the collision with the Fitzgerald. Here's the ACX Crystal. What do we see up here? Every 5 seconds. Okay, that's suspicious. Also, here's the other suspicious part of this. We go up here. It's still reporting in 5 seconds, as you can see. But something very, very strange happens when it gets back here. Now it's reporting every 10 seconds after it allegedly comes back and makes this turn. So their transponder rate switched. And back over here, during this weird time, it switches to all sorts of different rates. So somebody was mucking with the transponder aboard the ACX Crystal. This is the issue with the Fitzgerald. This is why we've stayed with it. Now, this was warned of. This was an article from 2013. Balducci and two of his assistants put together this article, and they absolutely submitted this to Congress, saying there are people out there trying to do this in Asia. Talking about how these AIS systems can be hacked. And how you can get in and you can put out false signals and you can put out false information to make people believe ships are places they're not. And this was, like I said, 4 years before this happened. Look at the ships that they are saying are examples of ships that could be at risk. We have an Arleigh class destroyer. We have 2 Ticonderoga class missile cruisers, apparently. And then back here is an old Spruance destroyer. Here they talk about the port of Singapore. This is where it happened with the McCain. Now, I'm not saying that the MC ALNIC did this, or that they didn't know where the vessels were. The issue that I have with the McCain is this, is that how do you get dereliction from the commander when once he noticed a problem, that it only took him 5 minutes to fix it and put 4 people on the problem? But that's another issue. We're not talking about that based on what's on the screen here. I do apologize, but I just wanted to get that out there. And they actually proved they could do this. Ship involved in military operations. They literally showed the code. They said, this is how we could do it. We could spoof the AIS, and we could make them believe ships were places that they weren't. And like I said, what you're looking at here is a 2013 article. This isn't post-collision. This isn't 2016 or anything to do with when Korea was doing all those launches. This is 4 years ago. See what they can do? By hacking? And I've covered this in literally 3 other videos, where they can do this. And I'll put the link to this. This is blackhat.com. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, Docs Asia. In case there's any issues with the link, you can find this. And this is all it takes. This was what they created these false signals with. A laptop, a transceiver, power amp, a couple antennas. And they show point by point by point how it is able to do this. Or I should say it is possible to do this, and they were able to do this. And they can create man and water spoofing, frequency hopping, closest point of approach alerting, which we saw in the issue with the Fitzgerald. It's possible. And in the case of the Fitzgerald, it's very, very likely. We can see the reporting rates. And also, here's something I'm going to leave with this from the report. Here's the report, official Navy report of what happened with the McCain. As you can see, they were in this uncontrolled left-hand turn, sailed out in front of the MC ALNIC. Now, the most important part I want to show you of this report, and the links to this particular report are in a dozen of my videos. Down here, and apologize for not being there, I just wanted to show that map that shows how things were handled post-collision. Here we go. 052358. ALNIC's bulbous bow struck JSM between frame 308 and 345 below the waterline. All right. 0526. JSM set general quarters and the DCA assumed responsibility for all DC efforts. Okay, 2 minutes. Literally 2 minutes they set general quarters. Aboard the Fitzgerald, no one aboard the bridge called general quarters. The DCA, who was asleep, got up, got dressed, went to damage control, and then 14 minutes later allegedly called general quarters. If you don't think that's suspicious, the last thing I brought up was the bridge audio, and this is from a video that I did talking about this. The bridge audio of the collision of the Porter and the MV OTOWASAN, where this truly was an accident, and you heard people who were aboard the Porter talking to news reporters about the accident, shows that literally within seconds they called general quarters. And I will leave with this. Okay, now what you're hearing here is audio. USS Porter, collision.
Yes, sir. Okay, the decision to come to point, let's not do that. Yes, sir. Aye, sir. Yes, sir. Aye, sir. Aye, sir. Sir, I had a poor aspect on this guy crossing us. We need to act quickly, sir. Okay. Recommend pull left, pull rudder. Left, pull rudder. Left, hard left, rudder. Please rudder, hard left. Hard left, rudder, right. Rudder is 30 degrees in the fourth shift. High short. High short. Let's go. Steady as she goes. Steady as she goes. She goes 170.
It's coming up here.
Let's go. Get me up there, flank.
Collisions come up here soon.
Flank, let's go.
There's your collision.
You all right? All right. Come to this. All right? All right? You're what? Hold it up. Hold it stop. Hold it stop.
Okay, so there you show it. They were hit and within a minute called general quarters. And that's what I wanted to show. Now the Porter hit a tanker that was 300,000 tons, moving at 14 knots. The Porter itself was only moving at 5 knots. And they were able to sail away from it and go to Jebel Ali and rejoin the strike group after a couple months of repairs. Actually, a couple weeks, excuse me. So the point being, this story with the Fitzgerald is incredibly suspicious. And the issue with the McCain, I think, gives us a good window and illustration into why it is. But all of those sailors deserve the benefit of the doubt until the Navy comes out and starts telling us the truth. Like, share, subscribe.